Hey Pisces, what's going on? We're here with your reading, what you need to know for July. Welcome. The first card that we have out is the Sun, and the second card is Nine of Pentacles. Sun and Nine of Pentacles together shows you feeling very capable. The Sun is connected with joy, and it's connected with happiness, and it's connected with your vitality and your self-expression and the things that make you happy, and connected with like your purpose and your capabilities, those types of things. Nine of Pentacles is a card of independence. It's you relying on yourself to do things, you trusting in yourself, like I'm capable of doing these things, and also you being able to enjoy what that does, like what that mindset does, what that attitude does. So there can be something where you have really been applying yourself and really been putting your energy into something, and then Nine of Pentacles is like all of the benefits that come from that. Like when you do actually, Nine of Pentacles is that moment where you get to pick the fruit off of the plants that you planted long ago. That being said, I'm seeing another energy come up here that's sort of presenting itself. It feels like, okay. I have seen this combination in a couple of the different readings that we've done for this theme of what you need to know for July. Having the Sun and Nine of Pentacles is you being in a spot where you're like, I trust in myself. I see myself as being capable. I'm able to accomplish the things that I'm setting out to accomplish. I'm independent in that way. Like I'm autonomous, and carrying that energy with you, where when you have your sights set on something and you apply yourself, you see like what comes of that, and it's very fruitful. That's you by yourself. Now, coming into the middle of the spread, I'm seeing the Devil and I'm seeing the Lovers, which can mean like sort of an intricate, complicated, sticky situation that you have with someone that can be very unconsciously motivated at times. The Devil and the Lovers is feeling like I can't function without this person, or I can't function without this relationship, which feels almost like it contrasts this other part of you. Because if I weren't seeing the Devil and the Lovers and I were just seeing this front part, I would see you being like, I can do anything, like I can totally rely on myself, I can get things done when I need to, like anything that's a solo project, I got it. But then over here, seeing the Devil and seeing the Lovers, there can be some type of fear that pushes you into a codependent space with somebody, where you can even feel like I stop seeing myself as being capable when I get into this situation with this person, and feel like I'm gonna lose everything if I don't have them. It can be something that feels very severe, and it can be something too that feels like it blinds you from that part of yourself that is very capable and that is able to accomplish things, and that has accomplished many things too, because Nine of Pentacles is also like the things that you've done in the past and the experience that you've gained by doing things independently. Then over here with the Devil and the Lovers, it's this feeling of like I can't function without this other person, or I get so worried about losing them that then I forget like all I'm capable of, like that type of thing that's going on here. But you can feel many times like this is not something totally conscious that you're thinking about, but you may find that certain behaviors or choices are motivated by this, or certain thoughts are motivated by this sort of like schema. And you can feel too, I want to say this as well, make the distinction. You can feel when you're doing stuff on your own that you don't really have any problems and that you're able to get those things done. But then when you get into like a joint situation with somebody, it's almost like things flip upside down, and it can feel the opposite. Like you can feel very dependent, where over here I'm seeing you be very independent. When you get into a situation with another person, you can feel like it's a whole nother story, and that's where you can feel like things start surfacing, but heavy things start surfacing when you're sort of in this interaction space with this other person. Can feel like it's a bit mind-boggling sometimes too, because it feels like it can interfere with communication, it can interfere with your thoughts, and you can also feel too like this part of you comes up where there's like this guarded, armored part of yourself. Having Magician and Five of Swords is like, doesn't have to be on purpose, but it can be manifesting some type of conflict. It can be manifesting issues. It can be setting things up in a way where you feel like, well, now that I'm worried about this, I have to also protect myself about this. And you're just getting into this play with yourself, like something being pushed into motion. But again, I want to make this distinction. When you're by yourself doing things, you can feel like this energy does not surface. Like it's something that only comes up maybe with you and this person. Or when you're involved in certain relationships, doesn't have to be a specific person, can be, but this can be a theme that you see repeated. Okay, Magician and Five of Swords can be doing something. I feel like this is not a totally conscious energy. I feel like this happens and you're gaining more awareness of it, but it may not be something that you're always like, oh, I know exactly where this is coming from. It may be something more automatic that you do, and then looking back, you're like, oh, I see what was motivating that. I'm understanding that. But up until that point, you can be doing something and feel like you're just responding normally, and then look back and be like, that was a part of me that didn't want to be vulnerable, or that was a part of me that was scared. You can see it as being motivated by fear, like that type of thing. You're needing to guard yourself, protect yourself, keep your heart closed. Magician and Five of Swords can be creating some type of competitive scenario with another person where it's like me versus them. The thing is with the Lovers, like I would imagine that this is somebody that you're supposed to be working with as a team, but because of the Devil being here, it can bring fear into the dynamic, and then playing that out as, well, now I'm worried about losing this thing and now I need to protect myself from that, and so I'm bringing this like energy of conflict up. It's something there's conflict because there's the not wanting to lose it, but then needing to protect myself for fear of that thing, and then it ends up sort of like manifesting that type of issue, that type of conflict. But it can be something that's so unconscious because it's just sort of where you're focused, like where your mentality is. And so it's not like, I'm going to do this to pick a fight with this person. It's kind of like doing certain things and then it ends up turning into some type of issue or conflict, but only because that was sort of where your mind was with things, not because it was something necessarily deliberate. But you can see those sorts of things starting to happen, and it's coming from a place of self-preservation, but because of there being a fear that, like, feeling unsafe in some way, like feeling like I can't be vulnerable here because what if I get hurt, or what if I lose something that I care about, you know, just like the normal stuff that can happen in a situation. Now, having Page of Cups and having Five of Cups feels like maybe there was a message that you received or a feeling that you interpreted, and things could have sort of gone awry here, is what this seems like. Can also feel like you're missing something a little bit too. Yeah, something definitely has got a hold on you. I'm seeing it be connected with your moon energy. So this is like how you're functioning from an emotional standpoint as it's related to you and this person. This is something that can be playing out all throughout the month of July. It looks like you're going to take a break to recharge emotionally and get your mind right. All right. I'm seeing a tower. This feels again like it was having Mercury and having Mars next to one another can be like, Mars is a fighting energy. It's an aggressive energy. It's taking action right now. It's a very reactive energy, as it needs to be. It's like the sign of the warrior, like those types of things. When you get put into a situation and you need to defend yourself or you need to fight, like who comes out? And then having that next to the Magician, which is your mind frame, it means we do things from a very offensive, defensive and offensive perspective. And then conflict arises because we kind of have this head and heart conflict that we're dealing with, and then it gets brought up mentally. Some of you, this is something that you may be at a level where you're recognizing this within yourself and you don't need to bring it into the relationship, where you're like, I'm just going through this internal battle and I know well enough not to bring it into my relationship and then also have to have the effects of that. For some of you, it may have been happening on such an unconscious level that in a way where it wasn't on purpose, it may have sort of bled into your relationship potentially. Page of Cups, Nine of Pentacles is like, wow, I'm really enjoying things. High Priestess and the Lovers is feeling a deep, deep connection between you and someone else, like a deep emotional bond. But then having Tower and having Five of Swords is a very robust and destructive energy that comes through. And then sort of what plays out after that, but it feels like it derived from a place, like its origin was in conflict. So the Tower is, something pops up that I feel like now my Mars energy is getting triggered. Now that part of me that shows up to the fight is showing up. And then Five of Swords is sort of like the damage that can be done based off of that because of the way that one reacts to a situation. It could have been something where whatever it was that appeared, like whatever situation was that unfolded, it could have been different than one had expected, and so sort of your fight or flight gets triggered. And then Five of Swords is that part of you that shows up that's like, I'll take care of this, but it can again create like issues between you and another person, or issues that you're feeling within yourself where you're trying to move through something. What I'm seeing though is Six of Swords. So it looks like by the end of July, this is something that resolves itself by you moving through it. But it comes from a place of understanding. That's what allows this to be resolved. It's seeing that part of yourself. I feel like you're going to get really familiar with your Mars energy and how it behaves when it's activated, like how it wants to express itself. And the balance between reactivity and willingness and like control of how you're showing up. Because it does look like conflict ends up being worked out, but it is brought into the situation. It feels like during the first half, maybe, where there's like, I'm enjoying things, then I'm getting scared about something or worried about something. Then there's this part of me, I'm getting confirmation of that. Then there's this part of me that does something reactively to protect myself, which is, again, like normal, right? If something comes up and you feel scared, you're gonna then, for the most part, if you're sort of like grabbing onto that and being like, this is what I'm feeling, I have to do something about it now, then that part of you that does something about it comes up and is triggered. But then there's that feeling of, oh, I wish that I didn't do that. If you end up doing something. Some of you, you're not going to go that far. You'll catch it before it happens. Others of you, if it happens, it happens. It's going to be a learning experience no matter what. And then I'm seeing there be some time that you take for yourself to be like, I need to ground, I need to check in, I need to connect with myself, I need to recharge right now, I need to come back to center. Then when that happens, I'm seeing you be able to understand the part of yourself that was triggered through the process. And then in that understanding, through that understanding, you move through, and I'm seeing things settle down. and I am seeing that things end up working out, so it's nothing that you need to be worried about. Your self-awareness is going to go a long way in this situation, is what I'm seeing. So like something can happen that feels like a very automatic response, and whether this stays contained and local to just something going on within you, and or it bleeds into the relationship, there's going to be more self-awareness gained through it. There's going to be this feeling of that wasn't totally aligned with like a higher part of myself, or it wasn't aligned with my heart, but my heart was shut down because I was protecting myself, so I was kind of disconnected from it. Then there's going to be the tuning back in to I'm softening that and I'm opening back up into the heart space, and I'm able to understand it and then see like why you had reacted the way that you had in the first place, or why you had felt like you wanted to. So again, like whether it's a feeling, it's like an impulse that comes up. Some of you are going to act on it, some of you are not going to act on it, but either way, you're going to learn from it. Some of you may need it to play out within the situation to really learn from it. Others of you, it doesn't need to get that far for you to glean the wisdom that you're meant to glean from this. Either way, I'm seeing at the end of this, you are going to move forward, but it's definitely going to take seeing if you did something that's out of alignment with your values. If you did something where you're like, I was bringing like trouble into this, or I was bringing conflict, or I was doing this to protect myself, or I put somebody else at a disadvantage because of this, or I was not willing to be vulnerable, whatever it is, however this is that your energy shows up. Again, your Mars is going to be indicative of this, and also your Mercury too. This can be something verbally that happens. It can be something nonverbal communication. It can be an action that happens without there being words. It's something is going to happen. Ownership important here. So if you do something where you were like, I made us enemies in that moment, or like I wasn't really working with you, or I got scared and I did this, then owning up to it is also going to go a long way too. And then there's going to be an understanding of it. Owning up to it, not in a way where you need to feel ashamed or anything like that, but to recognize, oh, I did that because I was triggered, and I'm understanding that this is how I react when I'm triggered, you know, something like this. In the understanding of that, of why that happened and where that came from, I'm then seeing you move on from it. So it feels like things are okay, issue happens, recognition and resolution, and then we move on. So I'm seeing that sort of play out in the month of July for you. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I'm seeing something specifically having to do with Mercury and Mars together. So you may be going through some type of transit. And I'm also seeing your moon be involved in some way. And I'm seeing the sun be involved in some way. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for connecting. I'm sending everybody love. And I hope to catch you guys next time.